14 minutes ago, the Korean entertainment world was shaken by a shocking confession from BTS's Jungkook, who finally spoke out regarding the theft of his personal shares. In its official statement, the South Korean Ministry of Justice confirmed that a total of 33,500 HYBE shares, valued at approximately 8.4 billion won, were illegally stolen from Jungkook's ownership. Is this merely a coincidence, or is there an indication of a far more systematic criminal planning behind this shocking event? This case not only shook the entertainment industry, but also triggered major questions about the financial security system involving top-tier artists like Jungkook. How could a world-class idol, under the strict supervision of a giant corporation, fall victim to a financial crime of such a staggering value? The official statement from the South Korean government emphasized that this incident is not mere speculation, but a real criminal case that has entered the stage of international law. The main suspect in this case was found in Thailand after a cross-border pursuit. The South Korean Ministry of Justice filed an urgent detention request against the perpetrator and confirmed that cooperation with Interpol had successfully ensured the extradition process to Seoul. Does the fact that the suspect managed to flee abroad show a weakness in the early detection system? Or does it reflect the sophistication of the perpetrator's modus operandi? With losses reaching billions of won, another question arises. Why does Jungkook personally hold such a large portion of shares? And how could the theft occur without early detection? In an official statement, authorities mentioned that the shares were diverted through digital channels involving identity manipulation and falsification of ownership documents. Shouldn't a financial security system as large as HYBE have protective layers that are impossible to penetrate? Jungkook's admission in his brief interview adds an emotional dimension to this case. He admitted that financial loss was not the only thing that hit him, but also the feeling of being betrayed by a system that had long been considered safe. Is this a warning signal that global artists are not entirely protected from the threat of modern financial crime? Jungkook described this incident as a bitter lesson, while stressing the importance of upholding justice. Meanwhile, the public reacted strongly. Social media platforms such as Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube were flooded with speculation, conspiracy theories, and criticism directed at parties considered negligent. However, can all the information circulating be trusted? The Ministry of Justice itself reminded the public to refer only to official sources, given the abundance of sensational content that actually clouds the facts. The involvement of Interpol in this case shows how serious the scale of the crime is. Support from the international institution accelerated the extradition process, and the suspect is now officially on his way to stand trial in South Korea. A fundamental question arises again. Will this become an important precedent in international legal cooperation regarding financial crimes in the global entertainment industry? Attention is now focused on the court proceedings to be held in Seoul. Many parties are urging that the maximum sentence be imposed, not only to provide justice for Jungkook, but also to send a strong message to the world that cross-border crimes will not be tolerated. However, will a severe verdict truly be able to close the financial and emotional wounds that have already occurred? Furthermore, this case raises critical reflections among economic observers and popular culture analysts. Have we been too quick to believe the narrative that the financial system supporting the global entertainment industry is truly secure? Or does Jungkook's case reveal the bitter reality that even international stars are not immune to systemic vulnerabilities? Ultimately, this news is not just an ordinary criminal report. It is a mirror of the fragility of the system, the complexity of international law, and the immense risks faced by public figures in an increasingly digital world. With losses amounting to 8.4 billion won, the public has the right to continue questioning. Who is truly most responsible, and how can similar tragedies be prevented in the future? Now, all eyes are on the continuation of this case. Will the perpetrator reveal the existence of a larger network behind this theft? Will HYBE and the authorities tighten their security systems? And more than that, can the public still believe that an artist as big as Jungkook is financially safe in the midst of globalization's complexities? These are the questions worth reflecting upon. The shocking event that dragged the name of Jungkook, a BTS member and major shareholder in HYBE, is now entering a new chapter with the revelation of dramatic facts. The South Korean Ministry of Justice confirmed that a total of 33,500 HYBE shares, valued at an estimated 8.4 billion won, had been stolen from Jungkook's official ownership. Not only that, but the main suspect in this case was reportedly found in Thailand, then subjected to an urgent detention request, and eventually extradited to South Korea with full support from Interpol. This fact instantly raises many questions. Is this scandal entirely real? Or is there an element of fabrication deliberately produced to ignite global public attention? This case is astonishing not only because it involves a world-class public figure, but also because of the enormous financial loss. Yet, does every detail of the information circulating across various social media platforms and online outlets truly reflect reality? What if this narrative is only part of a sensational communication strategy, designed to keep public attention fixed on the big names of Jungkook and HYBE? Isn't it true that the public often becomes passive consumers of emotionally binding news, yet not necessarily grounded in valid facts? We must note that the sources of information spread regarding this case do not always come from credible mainstream media. Most of the material is distributed through TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, as well as online community forums that tend to highlight dramatic aspects rather than factual verification. The question is, to what extent can society distinguish between reality and narratives constructed for sensational purposes? Will the public believe immediately, or will they begin to train themselves to be skeptical of every circulating report? This moment should encourage us to think more deeply. Has the information about Interpol's involvement and the suspect's extradition truly been verified by the international institution? Or could the term Interpol merely be used to reinforce the dramatic impression in front of a global audience? Isn't it possible that such a thing is used as a rhetorical device to add weight to the news, without concrete evidence? Another equally important question arises. Why did this case suddenly appear with such detailed narratives, complete with lost figures and cross-border legal procedures? Is it mere coincidence? Or is there a certain pattern deliberately presented? If we look back, it is not uncommon for news about major celebrities like Jungkook to emerge with striking scandal narratives, only to fade away without clear follow-up. Does this phenomenon truly have its roots in reality? Or is it merely part of a systematically created cycle of public attention? Furthermore, the audience should also reflect. Who exactly benefits from the spread of this stock theft issue? Is it Jungkook himself, who may gain international public sympathy as a victim? Or is it HYBE, as a company once again in the global spotlight thanks to its connection with a world-class artist? Or perhaps it is social media platforms that enjoy an influx of attention, clicks, and engagement from audiences caught in the vortex of unverified information? Isn't it true that every actor in this chain of information distribution has their own interests? Therefore, it is very important to reiterate that the truth of the information currently circulating still needs further verification. There is no guarantee that all details reported are entirely accurate. The public must be alert to the trap of overly dramatic narratives, because behind them there may be hidden agendas. Are we merely passive spectators immersed in emotion? Or are we brave enough to ask critical questions in pursuit of truth? This reflection ultimately invites us all to re-examine our position as consumers of information. Are we satisfied with merely spreading news without verifying its accuracy? Or do we choose to take a skeptical and analytical stance before believing any information? Perhaps this is the time for the public to train themselves not to immediately believe every claim presented, no matter how interesting and dramatic the narrative may sound. We emphasize once again, this report is compiled based on summaries of information from various social media channels and online media, not from official state documents or international legal institutions. Therefore, we encourage you to remain calm, cautious, and critical in evaluating every piece of news that arises. Do not let us strengthen the current of misinformation just because we are provoked by sensational headlines or narratives that stir curiosity. In conclusion, we pose questions that may spark further discussion. Do you believe this Jungkook stock theft case is truly real? Or is it a hoax produced for certain interests? Is Interpol truly involved? Or is it merely a big name inserted to increase the appeal of the news? Who benefits, and who might be deliberately sacrificed in this grand narrative? These are the kinds of questions worth pondering, so that we do not fall into a hypnotic cycle